Hey guys, so today we're going to be reviewing the Leatherman Skeletool CX versus the knockoff Leatherman Skeletool, if you could even call it a Leatherman. So, we're going to put the Skeletool, the actual Skeletool aside. I got this thing online for $9.38 with free shipping off eBay as kind of a Chinese thing, wanting to try it out. I did not know until actually after getting an actual Skeletool how different they actually are. I recently did an EDC video where I discussed previously carrying an H&K knife, which was actually made by Benchmade, called the Flak. It's a fixed blade knife with serrations, and I've carried that knife for a long time, but after seeing some videos online, I wanted to try a Skeletool out. But I didn't really want to spend the money on a Skeletool. They're not the cheapest, but I mean, they're not like real expensive like some of the other Sogs and Gerbers and even Leathermans. So I gave this guy a try. It's like under 10 bucks. And I opened it out of the package, and having actually not ever held an actual Leatherman brand Skeletool, I was fairly impressed. I mean, it comes with the same pocket. Looking at pictures online of the Skeletool and then this, I mean, it comes with the same style pocket clip. It does have a bottle opener with the carabiner. You open it up, and this, I noticed, has spring-loaded pliers. You see if focusing hand position with the camera. It does have a little spring in here. So you have spring-loaded pair of pliers. You have your same cutter in here. The pliers seem to actually be milled out pretty nicely. I mean, it's grippy. I mean, I could feel how nicely that's machined. The screws and how it's made is fairly nice. You go to close this guy back up. You have a fixed blade knife, just like the regular Leatherman Skeletool. It's kind of difficult to open. And then one thing I noticed is I'm just gonna kind of open this normally like I would open anything normally. When I opened it, I noticed it didn't lock. Let's see if it didn't lock this time. Yeah, so this lock didn't always catch. Okay, so it caught that time. You open it up, sometimes the lock wouldn't catch, and you'd have to kind of mess with it. But, you know, it even came fairly sharp. I have since sharpened it, but it even came sharp. And then, on this side, which the Skeletool does not have, this has a little saw, which is kind of cool. And then right here, you have your screwdriver bit, like the Skeletool has, except this one, it's magnetic, and it pulls out. And then you flip it. This is the flathead I have on there now, and then you flip it, and then you have the Phillips. So, it's all right. Now, when you close it, you kind of have to give it a good push to get it to shut. The fit isn't exactly the greatest, but, you know, for $9 and some odd cents, it is what it is. But we're going to kind of compare that now to the actual Skeletool. Now, side by side, you probably can't tell this with the position I'm looking at. This thing is much fatter. It's much taller. So we're going to lift the Skeletool up. We're going to lift this up. And it's extremely fatter for whatever reason. I really don't know. If you look at, and I actually don't even know what you call these things, but this like piece of support metal right here, it's got to be at least 1 millimeter or even 2 thicker than the actual Skeletool. You flip it back the other way, and it almost looks the same here, but the off-brand one is actually a lot thicker. Look at it from the top. You can tell it's a lot thicker. The actual Skeletool does not have a spring, which I don't really care. I could live without. It doesn't really matter. And the actual Skeletool does not have a saw, which I can live without too. The real Skeletool, putting this one aside, now we're gonna, this isn't exactly like a review on the Skeletool. I'll probably do one at some point, but looking at the Skeletool, you have your extra slot here for your extra bit. So these are two Phillips heads. This is a number 1 on this end, this is a number 2 on this end. And then putting it back in here, it just comes with a real convenient little place to store it. And I've never noticed it falling out. It's never loose. It always retains retention. And then opening it up, you know that the actual Skeletool it locks into place. You got a little spring-loaded lever here, so you will, this thing does not come out. Flip this little lever, comes right out. And you can flip it upside down, change to the smaller or the bigger flathead, whatever you want to do. And then closing this guy back up. Oh, first off, I guess we'll just demonstrate. Again, it's not spring-loaded, but I'm okay with that. It doesn't really bother me. No saw, does not bother me at all either. Closing it back up, so much easier to close, locks into place, very well designed. The blade, 100% easier to open. And I don't baby my knives, my tools, whatever. I use them and I do clean them. I do oil them. I do make sure that they're nicely taken care of. I always keep the blade sharp. But this thing has taken a beating, and it is worth every single cent that you will spend on a Skeletool. And I'm going to say for the thickness of the knockoff versus the regular Skeletool, the regular Skeletool is by far, in my mind, a much better choice because I love how slim this thing is, putting it in my pocket. I know it might not look like a whole lot to you on the camera, but this, the knockoff, is much thicker than the Leatherman Skeletool. This Skeletool, by the way, is the CX, so you kind of have like a little carbon fiber type. I don't want to call it coating, but carbon fiber material for the housing here, and it's kind of like a gunmetal gray kind of finish, and I like it. I actually got this one used off of OfferUp. It's an app. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but got it used off OfferUp for a really good deal. Carabiner is very positive in both of them. They both open bottles just fine. If you're into that, you want to use it for that. For $9 and some odd cents, if you're looking for something to kind of like put in your get home bag, like your bug out bag, maybe something you just want to keep like in the bottom of a toolbox, or you know, you want to keep it in like your range bag or something, sure, yeah, this is fine. Again, I bought this to try it out, and believe it or not, I never carried it. I looked at how thick this thing was and compared it to like my regular pocket knife, and I went like, no, I'm not going to carry that. So I just kind of left it sitting with all my other stuff and never bothered to carry it. Picked up an actual Skeletool, and I've never carried another pocket knife since. This is exactly where it's at. Yes, you're going to spend a little bit more money. I think the regular Leatherman Skeletool is around $49, and the CX is, I think, a little bit more because you get the carbon fiber and the gunmetal gray. Again, you can get just a regular stainless color one, and it's the same thing. It's going to do just fine. But this is what I happen to find, and I love it to death. It goes with me every single day, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. To have a fixed blade, a screwdriver set, pair of pliers, pair of cutters, it's perfect. And then I don't use the carabiner to clip it on anything, but hey, gotta have a bottle opener. But again, you know, I'm not trying to shut this out. You know, it's just a cheap made knockoff brand Skeletool, and you know, it's a fifth of the price that you'd spend on this. So I mean, you know, it is what it is. And for just like a cheap range bag thing, I would say I would recommend it because it's cheap and it does work. But for carrying every day, no, sorry, I would not do it. It's a pain to close. Look at that, I'm having problems on camera. And then it snaps into place. So this, the regular Leatherman, it just goes right and snaps right into place. No problem. In fact, it almost has spring retention. Like it pulls itself shut. This thing, I mean, it's under $10 with free shipping. Got this off eBay from California, probably made in China, as I would imagine. You know, the machining is okay on it. Again, the main disappointment is it's fat. It's huge. It's majorly fat. You don't have that extra storage slot for the extra bit, which, by the way, if you've done any looking or research on these, you can get what's called the Leatherman bit kit, and you can replace this with, you know, star heads, Allen heads, different size Phillips, different size flatheads, hexes, anything you want. Those are around 18, 19 bucks, and it will interchange with all of those. Whereas this guy, because it's magnetic, well, it might, but they don't have the locking mechanism that this has, so I can't guarantee that it'll work. So that is a much greater added bonus for this. But the winner for this, guys, is it's much better made. The machining and the narrowness of it, I think, are much better. Just because of how fat this thing is and how it doesn't shut right, and how this one, I mean, it's like a glove, how it just easily fits. And this, guys, is definitely the winner. The Leatherman Skeletool CX versus the cheap knockoff brand. Yes, it will work. Yes, it's a lot cheaper. No, it is not as good as quality. No, it is not as thin. No, it is not as well made. Yes, better machining, better quality, better ability to fit in your pocket, interchanges with all of the bit kits. I would recommend the regular Leatherman Skeletool as a great EDC pocket knife / multi-tool / plier / screwdriver / beer bottle opener / anything you could ever imagine. Great for your everyday carry. Fine for your range bag / your get home bag, whatever. Maybe something you're not going to use every day. Hope this was some use for you guys. Please drop comment below, like, share, subscribe. Thank you. Have a good one.